hit it.
What's up, guys? Toxic here, and I'm here to interview the man, the myth, the legend, eMburst himself. And obviously, I'm not here alone. I'm here with the GOAT, the man who made it all happen, the Topester.
That's
How
me.
we doing today, gentlemen?
I'm here. We're chilling.
I'm doing great. I tripped on my stairs earlier and got some pretty bad rug burn on my knee, but otherwise we're doing well.
Dude, fuck yeah.
Sick. That is sick.
Yeah, we got Burst here. You may know him as Mr. 3 and 6, but today he's Mr. 3 and 2, and we're going to talk a lot about that. But before we talk into that, Burst, go ahead and get into your team a little bit here, because your roster is very, very different from what it started as in the live draft, is it not? Because I believe you were last place in PRs, and you made a couple changes, and then you went on a tear for the first few weeks. So how has that felt, and how have the changes been for you?
Yeah, my draft. Okay. At its core, my draft really has not changed at all. It's maybe one or two pieces that I got added, but I'll just go down the line a little bit, go through the core of what it is, and also cover the changes as they come up, I think.
Okay.
First, I was like 8th in the draft, and I somehow got Mega Floette. I don't know how that got to me, mind you. I was not planning that, but then I had to scrap the entire thing and do a Mega Floette draft, which I'm not complaining about. Then I got some Ensign in there, and I mean, Ensign is one of Mega Floette's best partners, definitely its best supportive partner. Then I realized, oh, there's like no redirection on the board. Let's grab Vivian, get that out of the way. And then, what better to pair with Vivian than, I think I initially drafted Crocodile, but in Grace I changed it out for Mega Garchomp, which, I mean, Garchomp with Floette and then Garchomp with Vivian, perfect pairing. That top four has not changed really since before week 1, and that's the core that's been running my entire team so far.
Yeah.
Then I've got Slowking, water type TR setter, nothing much to say, I hadn't brought it yet. Jolteon for the speed tiering, for the speed control. The next slot, right now I have Sableye, but before week 2, I did this transaction around week 1, so I had it for week 1. I had Sarina in that slot, which is kind of meant to prevent bullet punches from hitting Mega Floette, but to be honest, Instant is fine at dealing with bullet punches.
Mm-hmm.
And now Sableye is like really good at making this a super bulky balanced team. So I'm happy with that change. Next is Metagross, and Metagross has just been the solid steel type with a crap ton of coverage that it needs to be, because this team really needed like extra coverage moves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Metagross is serving the role with. It was really good defensively outside of getting hit by like Ghost and Dark, which I don't have great resistances into outside of Instant, but that's like the big weakness of the team, to be honest.
Yeah.
Then Hydrapple. Yet to bring that as well, same with Slowking. But that was also a transaction. That slot was initially Garganacl. And Garganacl came to one singular match, week 1 against Wakeman. It came to game 3 and won me the set. So Garganacl did its job, and now it's Hydrapple and is waiting for its time to shine. And then for the last slot, I got the 1-point Pidgeot, and that's really only there for Tailwind, but before that, it was Hawlucha for 2 points, but I don't know why it's 2 points, but Hawlucha is the easiest to get rid of.
Yeah. I mean, 1 point
Yeah,
Pidgeot, I have it too. I'm not even going to complain. It's 1 point Tailwind, you know? I mean, at worst. I do, but I agree. I really like your top 4 here, and then the support with Jolteon and Sableye really ties it together. Those couple changes you made turned it into a really solid unit. I'm a lot higher on it this time around than I was like in PRs because of those changes, so I think you did a really good job. Very, very well done. And with this team, like we had mentioned earlier, you actually went on a 3-0 tear for the first 3 weeks of the season. I know you had a couple losses recently, but like we were talking before the interview, you had just faced your like 3 worst matchups of the season, so you've gotten those out of the way. And 3-2 is a pretty respectable record to have, mid-season for sure. So I kind of want to know as well, how are you feeling, because now that we're halfway through the season, how are you feeling like with your placement amongst the other coaches, and what are you thinking your chances are of making it to playoffs, finals, the win? How, like, what's going through your head with that?
Well, just like earlier in the season, and literally every single week, I look at it and I'm like, there's no way I'm doing well enough to get playoffs. I know I'm like being way too pessimistic about it at all, because it's working for me so far. But I've seen in the past couple weeks, really, holes getting exploited or holes showing up that I wasn't prepared for. So right now, at this very moment, with 4 weeks left to play, I'm feeling okay about my playoff shots, because in order to get playoffs, I really only need 2-2, but I probably need to go 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one matchup I'm not confident in those 4 weeks, so I'm pretty okay with my chances. But also, I've got to still put in that work, and I can't count any of those weeks as like free weeks at all. I mean, in this league, nothing's free.
Right.
That's to say, in the league like this one.
No, yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
But I mean,
no,
go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. I was just filling for time.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say, I mean, like in those 3 weeks, you beat Schronke, Wakeman, and then you also beat eMburst, like back to back to back. So those are super strong people to get off your schedule and out of the way. So that's a huge weight off of your shoulders too, I'm sure, as well. And going into those last 4 weeks, who's the person that you're most worried about facing?
Oh, that would have to be Flame, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because he is the one person that I have a bad matchup against that I haven't played yet. Because he has Mega Metagross and Primarina and Mamoswine. And those 3 together kind of dismantle Incineroar and Mega Floette. And then with Talonflame, with Talonflame, it makes Garchomp a pretty bad matchup into it as well. So I'm gonna have to do some work to figure out that matchup, but I know I've got my work cut out for me. But otherwise, like, nothing looks too crazy. I think I've got Ted, T-Ball, and I don't know, Raz left outside of that. And yeah.
I think there's definitely something you can do there with Flame, because I know we don't talk a lot, Burst, but I will say that I do think one of your big strengths is your ability to do kind of super creative and off the wall stuff in prep, and then it catches people off guard in their match. I've seen it time and time again from you, from any match that I've watched from you in ADL and other leagues as well, so I think that's something that you're perfectly capable of doing. So I am actually looking forward to seeing that match for sure into Flame. Toxic, do you have a question for him?
Yeah. I'm not sure if you answered this during your discussion, but what mom were you looking forward to drafting the most? Like, it doesn't even have to be on your team. Just like, what mon are you looking forward to drafting? It's true,
because your draft plan changed immediately because you got Mega Floette, which justifiably so, but like, what was the plan?
Yeah, that mon is broken.
Yeah, before the draft, I was planning on doing stuff, like, you can ask Waken about this, because before the draft, like a day or two before, I was just playing around with the budgeting, and I realized 2 things. First, you can get 2 super valuable megas in this format at the same time and not be hurting for points. But also, you could kind of go high budget and not be hurting for points. And I know most people realize this during the draft. I realized it a couple days prior. And that's kind of why I was kind of really okay going immediately Mega Flow at Ensign. But before that, what I was wanting to do at the 8th spot in the draft was Mega Aerodactyl and Mega Manectric together.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, well, I can do Mega Manectric and get Intimidate stuff going, or I can save it, have Lightning Rod, and have Mega Aerodactyl be super fast. But
Smart.
That
so
would
that was my initial plan, and maybe in a future league I'll get that going. But
No, that would have been cool.
I mean, exactly.
That's a what could have been comp right there. That would have been interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. I had it all planned out and immediately I had to scrap it.
I mean, honestly, I would have done the same thing if Mega Float came to me, because why wouldn't you? Who's not drafting
Exactly.
that? Toxic, I asked him a couple. You got another one?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking.
Good job, team.
I don't got another right now. I'm trying to like think about it as much as possible. It's like, oh, okay. Burst, you're like kind of into the VGC scene, right? It's kind of a different question compared to like a lot of different other drafters, since a lot of them are just mostly just drafting. But since you're into VGC, I was gonna ask, what do you believe is the most oppressive Pokemon,
Sorry, I tried to help.
or like oppressive little thing that they added in Champions?
Oh, what's the most oppressive thing? Ooh, that's a great question.
That's good.
Because Champions is weird in that it provides all these super powerful tools, and everything else around them is like kind of weak, but everything just has just enough to give you wiggle room to work around it. You've seen like no one drafted what's it called, like Mega Charizard here in this league because everyone can click Rain Dance, right? And very similarly, like, sure, Mega Charizard's way more oppressive in VGC right now, but now you're seeing Mega Raichu Y and Lycanroc all over the place to deal with it. So nothing is absurdly oppressive in a way that people can't handle. So I think the most oppressive thing has to be, it's got to be either King Gambit or Basculegion. Okay. Like, those are the two that nothing can truly answer except for each other.
That's pretty valid, actually. If you want to fight one, you have to bring the other most of the time.
Right. Like, usually the supportive pieces for King Gambit are totally wiped out by Basculegion, but you always need to have a King Gambit to deal with a Basculegion.
Right.
And those two mons, you're not playing VGC or prepping for VGC if you are not considering those as part of any amount of game plan. And similarly in draft, because this is a draft interview, I want to bring it back at home a little bit. You have to consider what your game plans are into those if you are going to make a draft in Champions right now. And I know I just lost a week into Basculegion. Basculegion is doing absurdly well right now. But it still has to be on top of mind no matter what, whenever you're making a draft. Because if you just fall over, you're never going to win the championship, right?
Man. A question I actually have been wanting to ask you even before we were setting up interviews is, ADL was your first like championship win last season, right? And then that's what got you the invite into the Champions League for this All-Stars season. And I kind of want to know what is, from somebody who has been playing draft for years. I mean, I think most of us in this community have been playing for a very, very long time. A lot of us have been knocking on the door of champions or championships and wins, but have never quite gotten there. And you were somebody who was kind of like that as well, who had gotten, quarters, semis, finals, had never quite made the win until last season where you got it. And then I guess I kind of want to know, like, where was the mind shift, or where was the mindset shift? Like, what happened, you won your league, and then now you're playing post your first league win, vying for even bigger titles with a league with a bunch of different champions. Like, what's the mindset switch there? How has your mindset on the game changed, if it has at all, since you've won your first championship?
Since I won my first championship, I actually don't think much has changed at all, other than reflecting on it, on what got me there, and why I guess my championship run was so volatile. Because, just to put perspective, if you weren't there, in that league that I had won, almost everyone was at the exact same record going into playoffs.
Yeah.
I was 5-4. I was I was 6th seed going into playoffs. The number 1 seed, I think, was like 6-3. Everyone was right there. No one had a very strong, dominant season. And going into playoffs, every single match was volatile in some case. My finals match, I was down 2-4 in every single game of the 3-game set. So I had to look back between then and now, because I have not played a league since that win.
Yeah.
I had to go and look at that and say, what did I do wrong to get myself in that position? But also, what did I do right to be able to bring it back and get that win? Because obviously I had to do something right to be down in 3 games and win 2 of them in a set. But first off, I think my mindset shift was to stop relying on like risky plays or risky reads, which I think I've done a little bit recently, and I've been falling back into that trend, and that's kind of why I've lost my last couple of matches, because I've been doing a little bit more risk in my lead matchups. But if I am not thorough in developing my lead matchups week to week, I'm going to put myself on a back foot every single week if I'm not careful with that. So truly finding ways to eliminate all risk, but also eliminate all need to make a read, is something that's super important to me, at least for my first 3 weeks of this league. And then what I've been doing the same is playing the entire rest of the game very, very similarly.
Yeah.
Very risk averse, but also not in a way that's passive, but rather knowing when I can give up pieces, or know when I can give up a little bit of ground or momentum in order to, I guess, patch up a weakness or a hole to a certain play. I'll take, for example, like, I believe it was my last week. It actually did lose me the game. I'll admit. I was playing against Seb. It was the game 3. And he had, I think, Polytoad and Basket Legion out. Basket Legion was burned. There's 1 turn left at rain, and he had Mawile in the back. And I expected him to switch out Polytoad for Mawile and try to go all in on this Basket Legion. So I Flare Blitzed into the Polytoad slot, thinking, well, if he switches in Mawile here to get rain back up, then I just hit him with a Flare Blitz and get a ton of extra damage off.
Right.
And I'm thinking here, well, this covers for that, and either way I've stopped attention into that slot. It's going to kill the Polytoad, and I probably don't need the extra damage into Basket Legion. So when he didn't switch, he let the rain die, and gets Mawile in for free. He also, at that moment, he locked into Last Respects instead of Wave Crash with Basket Legion, further solidifying that he didn't need the rain at all and wasn't playing around having rain. But I turned what I had thought into, or was, a super low-risk play that maybe gave me up a little bit of ground. It was super high-risk, actually. I should have just went for the... what's it called? I should have went for the Darkest Lariat double, hit the Polytoad with it. If he switched out, then I got extra damage out into the Mawile. If he didn't switch out, then I kill Politoed, I probably kill Basculegion with the Darkest Lariat and have a 1v2 endgame, and I probably would have won.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of those moments where I thought I was doing it, and it was actually more risky than I thought, but still, it's my mindset of trying to prevent that risk.
At first, I didn't quite understand what you were saying, but like the more you like started talking about it, I was like, okay, yeah, I feel that, because I kind of went through that same journey when I was playing a lot, like about a year.
It was risk aversion, but there's two risk averse things there, and I probably should have just gone with the simpler one, to be honest.
So instead of going for like the riskiest play that you can go for to try to help you, get some sort of big advantage or make a big play, instead just go for the play that'll give you the best shot at like not exactly getting an advantage, but keeping an advantage or keeping your momentum. Is that
exactly?
What I should say?
Yeah. Because a lot of how I've been playing, especially this season, has been super positioning oriented. And if I am in a bad spot going into an end game positioning wise, sometimes I will give up a mon, specifically because it puts me in a better end game position to do well, even if I have less resources to do it. Which I know is probably pretty risky, but either way, that's been my mindset shift in my approach going into this season.
Okay. Yeah.
I 100% get that. Yeah, that was something that really happened to me. Like, I don't know if you watch my VODs that much, but I know Toby did. I used to like go for crazy turn 1 plays when we were literally in neutral, and I would just try to win the game on turn 1, make the super big cool play, super flashy play. When in reality, I just need to play to win,
I mean,
that's all that really matters.
It's an easy pitfall to get into, right? Like, you want to make one big decisive turn that wins you the entire game, and that there's nothing left you have to do but coast. But sometimes just making the middle of the road or safe play is going to be what wins you the game at the end, because you're not taking the risk of losing a mon on turn 1 or getting a read completely wrong while they get set up or something like that. I mean, it's a whole thing like that, and that's a really good answer. I like that, especially because you made a beautiful answer out of me butchering that question for like 30 seconds. So
I feel like I butchered that answer too.
I thought it was pretty good, honestly.
Yours did a great job considering how like I first thought about it. I was like, what is he talking about?
Toxic, do you have another question for him?
Yeah. So I think I asked this question to Splash, but I think I need to like start asking this for everybody, right? So what really, listen, I've known you for like about, I'd say 5 years for playing
a bit
draft.
over, yeah.
And as long as I've known you, you've always been playing draft, you've always been playing Mons, trying to improve your game in some sort of way, shape, or fashion. What keeps drawing you back in every time?
Yeah, what feeds the addiction? That's a good question.
Yeah, what does feed the addiction? For me, what feeds the addiction is that I love Pokemon. It's just as simple as that. I love Pokemon. And I've always got to find some way to play it, some way to enjoy the experience of Pokemon. And sometimes you'll see me doing shiny hunting a ton. That's one thing. Sometimes you'll see me playing through speed running through games. Sometimes you'll see me, what else? Like going to locals every single week or every month and trying to get championship points for the VGC season. But one way or another, I love playing Pokemon. And whenever there's nothing VGC related to do, or I don't really have the time or the investment to put into the other things. Draft is one of those things that's casual, yet fun and challenging, that I can always rely on. And as long as I know I have 2.5 months to invest maybe 3 hours a week, I'm good.
Fair enough. I mean, it's one of those... It's one of those things where it's like super low stakes, but it's also super competitive at the same time. So I mean, it keeps your skills up. It keeps you from getting rusty, but it's also like, you know, who cares if you drop a few weeks or something like that? It's whatever. Like,
exactly. But also, what makes draft so fun out of every other thing, and why I continue to go back to draft and not like try shiny hunting every week, because that gets boring. Shiny hunting gets boring. But why I go back to draft is I love the storylines of it. I love going into a season and knowing my matchups into every person, who's good into me, who's bad into me, who likes to do certain things that maybe I'm not so comfortable with, who's a new wild card that maybe I need to work out. And then when PRs come, who's the underdog and what are the storylines week to week?
Yeah, right.
I've always found myself into the underdog situation where I'm almost always last or second to last in PRs. And it's so fun for me coming in and constructing these storylines in my head and living in that for a bit. It's almost a hero fantasy situation, but I know it's fun for me to do.
I respect that, honestly. I really do. Toxic, you kind of have that question that you're asking everybody nowadays. I also kind of have that one, that it's something that I'm really curious to hear everybody, especially like all-stars, people who have been so accomplished and are getting to this point.
To get to this point, you really gotta like be a dick.
You gotta be an addict. You really do.
I mean, to be fair, I've played maybe 3 leagues a year for the past couple of years. I do not play that much draft.
I mean, it's not even about like playing a bunch a year. Like, you don't have to be Samuel Wakeman to be a
Yeah,
that's true.
Consistently for like a long time.
Hell, 3 leagues a year.
I've certainly been in for a long time.
Yeah, 3 leagues a year for however many years to some people is like, what the fuck are you doing? do you have anything else you like doing? But the question I'm asking everybody is, I think it's no secret Pokemon is a pretty hard game, especially a hard one to do consistently. Very easy to pick up and start with, but it's really hard to get to those upper skill levels. And as somebody who has really honestly gotten to that point, what is a bit of advice that you would give somebody who is just starting out, whether it's draft, VGC, the like? What would you tell a new player to help them progress along further so that they don't make the same kind of mistakes you did?
Yeah, I did my homework. I watched all the previous interviews. I prepped an answer for this one. So I'm gonna sound mildly like a hypocrite for saying this, but I do not care, because just because I may not always follow it doesn't mean it's not true. Do not let your ego get in the way of realizing that there's always more to learn and more to grow.
Very good.
When you are entering VGC or draft first time, or just any kind of competitive Pokemon, you think you're hot shit because you play Pokemon, you're playing the video game and you're absolutely demolishing the main story, and maybe you constructed your first team and you're going on ladder, or you're entering your first draft league, and there's going to come a point where you hit a brick wall because everyone has already been there and knows exactly where you're at in skill level and is going to exploit that to shit. All right.
Oh yeah.
So you're going to hit that brick wall and you're going to be like, what the fuck? I am the big fish in the pond. Why is this happening to me? And you got to realize that no, you're not.
Right.
You're not. And maybe by putting your ego aside, it means the one mon that you've been stuck on for the entire time. For me, it was Mega Sharpedo. I thought Mega Sharpedo in 2016 was awesome. And I had to realize Mega Sharpedo is not good. I have to put that aside. I have to realize that to get better at this game, I have to learn what is good from the ground up. And maybe it's playstyle dependency. Like Toxic mentioned earlier, having a super read heavy turn ones. Or for me, it was being so unpredictable that you wouldn't know or why I would do something, but you would lose the set off of it. That's actually how I won my first few games of draft ever, is because I played Ring Target Klefki and I faked out a Raikou. But
oh,
I'll say that one worked out. It was into Ryan, who is in Chud Division.
Wait,
He
I
did all
think
the
I remember
PRs.
that.
I faked
think
out a
I remember
Raikou
that.
because I was like, dude, this thing's got to be Sash it out, and I'll flinch it, and then I'll hit it with a Max Quake from Aerodactyl, and it'll be great. And it didn't flinch at all, but it didn't matter because I Max Quaked with Aerodactyl and it killed. So,
That's kind of tough.
God damn.
and it was Sash anyway, so
I
it was
forgot
worth
about
it.
that. I vaguely
You were not
remember
there.
that,
You-
but
Toxic was there. I don't think you were there.
I was
It's my
there.
personal-
I feel like
remember now.
I feel like I vaguely remember seeing a VOD or something of that or hearing about it, but I don't know.
It was MDO. It was like way back in the day.
This
Oh,
was
okay.
maybe March 2021 when I did that play.
It might
like
have
super old.
that
Yeah,
might have been one of the times I was talking to Ryan and he was talking about some bullshit he's seen before.
Exactly. And this is one of those times where like I was being so unpredictable. That was my gimmick, and I had to leave that at the door because I realized that's not going to win me games long term. And sure, like I can bring it out. It's a tool in my whole toolbox. But just that piece of advice is gonna matter no matter where you're at, actually, because you'll get into later stages of development. You'll see us draft players in this ADL All-Stars League. We'll go to VGC tournaments. We'll go 4-4 and 5-3. Why aren't we making day 2? Because we have a lot to learn about VGC.
Right.
And you'll see VGC players, they'll move into a regulation they're not comfortable with, and they won't make a top cut for that regulation. It's just because they've got a lot to learn when it comes to that. And it's just always realizing there's places to learn, there's places to grow, and understanding that you've got to put your ego aside and learn and grow if you want to do well in whatever it is you're doing there.
That might be the best answer we've gotten out of anybody.
I'm not gonna lie.
Can't lie.
I was just about to say you might be kind of tough first. I like what you said.
That-
I mean,
really
don't get me
resonating.
wrong. I like the other answers of have fun. You have to play to have fun, right?
Sure.
And you have to remember
100%.
it's all about fun. But at the end of the day, if you're wanting to learn and grow and improve, you have to realize that sometimes fun, like leaving the fun things at the door is the answer.
No, I respect the hell out of that, honestly. And
Yeah. Same.
and even going back to like where you said like I mean I need to listen to this sometimes too. I mean like not
Mhm.
anybody is perfect at it, I would say. I would say there are some
I
people
would
that
argue-
struggle with their ego more than others, obviously. But I think nobody's immune to it, at least to a certain extent. So I mean, that's something everybody can work on.
I would
For sure.
argue this lesson is like more resonant if you've like been playing for a long time and you know you're good. I would
Right.
argue, like, I don't know. I feel like because that's a lesson that was very important to me.
Mhm.
Like I was never like super egotistical, but it was like I don't know how to explain it.
You
You
get
just-
you get on a losing streak and you're like, why am I on this losing streak? I'm so fucking good at this game. And then you have to be like, wait,
Mhm.
it's because I'm not paying attention to why I'm losing.
Yeah.
Or you realize, hey, somebody has to lose, and ultimately, if I'm losing my games compared to the people who are winning against me, that means there's just something I have to improve on, and that's another chance to learn again.
Then,
It'll be
yeah,
like you're playing the game like all together, or playing a whole new game.
that's pretty much
I should
Right.
say.
pretty much where
Yeah,
my head's been at for a long time. It's just like somebody's got to lose, and honestly, if it's gonna be me, it's probably because I did some stupid shit. But
Mhm.
It doesn't
I'll
even have
say
to be like anything stupid. It's just like making a mistake.
well, yeah.
I don't know who this quote came from, but somebody once said the most obvious lessons are the ones you need to like take to heart the most, or something along those lines. I don't know who said that.
It was probably Gandhi.
And I think Einstein was probably the guy.
It's
There's
probably
so-
Gandhi.
one of those thinkers.
It was somebody.
Yeah. No, well, I feel like even myself, I've got to learn from that still. But I'm trying to implement it recently. It's actually how I got my first championship win, is because I started to implement that. Because just to go back to ADL Swan Song, where I got my
Yeah.
win just a few months ago, really. I had one of my few losses that was really bad, and I'm like, I cannot lose this again. It was against Mikey, and he had this Fluttermane Chi-Yu team, and I was rocking a Sunroom team. And for me, that Fluttermane Chi-Yu, it was unbreakable. Even if I went under Trick Room, I didn't have enough momentum to kill it. But what I realized is, what if I just go fast? I don't have the resources now, but I'm gonna have to play this guy again in playoffs. So when it came to transactions for between the playoff transaction, I specifically picked up Tornadus Incarnate. So I had Prankster Tailwind, and was able to have Prankster Tailwind into Flutter Chi-Yu and be able to deal with it. And I had Iron Crown and Urshifu Single Strike and Indeedee female in order to support that whole thing. But it was realizing at that time of the loss, hey, I've got to make improvements because I've got to play this guy again. And where can I make that improvement? Tailwind. Okay, let's pick up Tornayum playoff transactions, and that'll make my matchup easier. And then I go into that game, I 2-0 him because of that prep diff. So it's one of those things that now in All-Stars, I just played Seb and Splash, and I'm probably going to have to play one of them in playoffs again. So I've got to realize, okay, in my next matchup, how am I going to prep differently?
Right.
So it's one of those things even I got to implement now.
Always something to learn. I like it. I like it. Toxic, what do you have? Another question?
I'm trying to think of one. It's not even like I'm running out of steam. It's just like I have to think of them because
how do you follow up that fucking answer? That's where I'm like.
I need to keep upping on the ante with my questions, bro. Okay, what? We talked about learning. Oh yeah, what is the number one thing that you think will help people that are really trying to get into Oh wait, no, that's
kind of the same question, but yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh, Toby, you might have to ask this one.
Okay, I'll give you some more time to think on that one. So going into or looking into the future, into future leagues that you're looking forward to trying out. I mean, like you said, you don't do a ton of them per year, but if you were looking into future formats, obviously Champions is kind of going to be the place VGC and Draft is at for probably a very long time. Is there anything that you're looking forward to seeing in future seasons of other leagues, or other megas you're looking at using, other gimmicks you're wanting to see come in, things like that?
Oh
yeah. So I've got two answers for this. First, I really want to use Mega Golisopod. I don't care what ability it has. I want to use Mega Golisopod somewhere.
Fair enough.
If nothing else, it's going to be one of those seasons where I run Mega Golisopod and I go 0-9. It happens. I've done it multiple times in the past couple years, but it's going to be fun. And that's what I'm going to take out of it. But second, I started Draft not in doubles but in singles in 2017. And that was all Z moves. So I want to go back to a Z move draft just to have it. I don't even care if we have to have Z captains. Z captains are okay. Not very hot on Terra captains, but I'm okay with Z captains. But Z moves, I don't like how volatile they are. I don't like how predictable it is. But predictions are fun, even if they're not super consistent. And bringing that back into the game would be nice, at least in terms of draft. I don't want to play VGC and Z moves, but I certainly want to play draft with Z moves. Hit something with a Max Quake off a Fissure or something. And yeah, just one of those things. Something that's not so centralizing, but yet brings a fun new dynamic to it.
Sure. I like that. You also might be one of two people I've ever talked to that are like, oh, hell yeah, bring Z moves back. So that's interesting as well.
Oh, I don't want Z moves back for anything more than a draft season.
Well, fair enough.
But I would rather not have to deal with VGC with Z moves.
Fair enough. I fear
Speaking
for the day. Go ahead.
That just gave me a great idea. Speaking of mechanics, this is kind of going away from champions a bit, but now that Gen 9 is, we can say the Gen 9 is basically over. The new age is coming. We're in champions. What are your thoughts on Terra? I mean, you played a lot of Gen 9, right? Mm-hmm. And you clearly have thoughts on these mechanics. I'm kind of interested because I'm personally not a fan of Terra, but I'd like to see what you think.
So, I love Terra from a prep perspective. I love looking at it and adding it as another piece of the puzzle of what types of things am I going to have to face with this particular mon? What are the threats? And what are the threats I particularly need this to be able to stand up against defensively based off my draft composition, and then picking a Terra type base off that. I felt that developing that skill was super rewarding, and being able to pull it off week in and week out was super fun. I think that's also where a lot of my skill expression and creativity was able to shine over Gen 9. But I also feel like it's super punishing in the broken scenarios where you're Terraing Fairy a Fluttermane, or Terrafire Torkoal, or Terra Psychic your Hatterene or something. Like, I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with it because I like when it's used in the draft context, but I hate when it's used in the super broken VGC. Oh, it's, you know, Terra Fairy Armor Rhydons that each click Dazzling Gleam with Helping Hand. Actually, I was at a local once, just to go on a tangent real quick. I was at a local once, and it was for the decider match for the top seed. And we were both running Miraidon teams, so we both lead Farigiraf Miraidon game 3. We both Terra Miraidon click Helping Hand and Dazzling Gleam, and I had the slower Miraidon, but my Miraidon double crit killed both Farigiraf and Miraidon, and it made it on Twitter, and it made its rounds going viral. Like, I never got attributed to me, but I did double crit with the Terra Fairy Helping Hand Miraidon Dazzling Gleam to get a set win.
Nuclear bomb.
Yeah,
exactly. It was the nuclear option, and I feel a little bad about it. And that's kind of why I'm not a huge fan of Terra, but also I do like the skill expression that came from it.
I think you can do a lot with it in prep. And I feel like, I mean, I'm not going to act like I played every other Gimmicks VGC circuit, but I feel like it was, and I don't know if it's because of Terra or not, but the Gen 9 VGC life, I mean, it was a very, very healthy meta, like, for the entire life.
I mean, Gen 9 is, like, really when VGC, like,
exploded.
Gen 9 is really what made VGC mainstream. Yeah. I'm going to be honest. It really made VGC mainstream.
Mm-hmm. Because Terra is such a healthy mechanic, and for that perspective.
Yeah.
For allowing people to enter and understand how it works, but also not be so broken that it turns you off the game immediately. Like, Dynamax was that. It was a little unhealthy. It was broken to a point where it turned people off the game. But at the end of the day, by the end of Dynamax, people were starting to gain interest in VGC. People were starting to realize, okay, this is how it works. We can deal with this. So when Gen 9 came and provided such a healthy landscape for it to grow and flourish, it was able to do so.
Yeah, I agree. Toxic, I think I'm about out of questions. Are you?
I'm about out of them. Just to complete that conversation in general, though, I kind of agree with what you're saying. I kind of wish the Terra functioned less, but at least from a draft perspective, right? I felt like Terra was more of a patch your weakness instead of complement your strength type of deal, which is really what I wanted it to be. Because instead of being I can take this Terra Blast, or suddenly I can I don't know. I don't know what I'm thinking. But mostly, I kind of hate that it was just a patch or weakness in the particular matchup type of thing. And I wish it was a lot more interactive. That's what I'm thinking. I wish it was a lot more interactive instead of click button. Suddenly the enemy can't hit your Pokemon super effectively.
Right. Like, as much as I loved finding the perfect Terra type to make it so that you can't kill me at all, like, getting the right Terra Poison into a comp was never something I didn't enjoy. But it will never live up to the fact that 1 week I ran Terra Rock Rookie with Terra Blast and was able to Oko a mon that it shouldn't have.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It did provide those highs. I can't lie.
It really did.
Well, Toxic, do you have another question? I think I've ran
Nope,
through my
I'm
list.
out of steam.
Perfect. Well then, Burst, you have the floor here. I want to give you the opportunity. You can look right into that camera right there to your adoring fans who are screaming your name, looking for this win for this All-Stars season. What do you have to say to them? Anything you want to say at all to the people, to the public?
Floet's gonna go Burr, win or lose. And if it does lose, then I'll see you next year.
There we go. All right. Well, that is going to be it for our ADL All-Stars eMburst Spotlight. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Burst, for coming on. Some of the best answers we've gotten from any interview, might I add.
Honestly, I was super engaged. That's why I wanted to keep it going.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
All right. And we will see you all in the next one. Peace.